So good morning, everyone. I know there's a few still trickling in from the waiting room, but I just wanted to get us started. My name is Jennifer Garrett. I'm the Assistant Deputy Secretary here at the Wisconsin Department of Safety and Professional Services. Welcome to our Licensee Educator Access Portal demonstration, or our LEAP portal that will enable higher education student support staff to have greater levels of engagement in the licensing process to better support their students and to bring efficiency to the work that they do to support the licensing process. I just wanted to give you a few details about how the meeting will work before we really kick things off. Everyone in the audience will be muted and questions will be collected through the chat. You can post your questions at any point during the session, but we'll be posing those to the group at the end. We're also going to be recording the session. The recording has started already, and we'll be posting it online if you need to revisit it or if you want to share it with colleagues. So with that, I am going to hand things over to the Department of Safety and Professional Services Secretary, Dan Harris.
Thank you, Jen, for handing that over. As Jen mentioned, I'm Department of Safety and Professional Services Secretary Dan Harris. Wanted to just take a few moments to welcome all of you to our demonstration today. I think, we're particularly proud of this portal because it's a great example of how collaboration can lead to innovation. And so, early in my tenure with the department, over the course of about several months, we met across the state. Those meetings included many of the folks or in this room and or representatives from your institutions. And out of that feedback, one of the things that we really determined is we needed to do as much as possible to engage you all in directly in the licensing process. The reality is that a student or a license holder may work with us, or talk to us for a short period of their lives every couple of years, but they work with you on a day in and day out basis as they're working to make that transition from the classroom into the onto the hospital floor or onto the job site. And so it was with that in mind that we built this portal, and we're quite proud of it because we are aware of no other state in the nation that has something like this. This is really a first in the nation opportunity to directly collaborate and participate in the licensing process for our higher education partners. And so I want to thank you for your participation. I know we're going to record this meeting and provide it to everyone afterwards so that you can distribute it to colleagues who might be interested but couldn't attend this morning. And we look forward to starting the registration process sometime in early April. So with that, I will turn it back over to Assistant Deputy Secretary Jen Garrett.
Thank you, Secretary. Yes, as the Secretary mentioned, we will be doing some follow-up to gather names and contact information to assist getting everyone set up in the system so that you can begin to use it as soon as it's live. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to our Department of Professional Credential Processing team. I have with me Supervisors Terry Trinan and Melinda Boyle Pryor. They are our licensing experts and are going to walk you through how the process works right now, which I know most of you are familiar with, but just so that we can do a better compare and contrast with what exists for everyone and what LEAP will offer those individuals who sign up for it. So Terry and Melinda, take it away.
Thank you so much, Jen. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here. As Jen said, I'm Terry Trinan, and I'm just going to walk you through a few of the available features within Licensee so that you can compare and contrast with LEAP. So I have us on the landing page of our Licensee platform, pardon me. You can sign in down here. Your students, I should say rather, will sign in down here. I just wanted to point out this first field here is a username. It's not an email. Most people's username will be their email address with a .dsps on the end. That seems to trick people up a little bit. So if we go across this top bar, the first thing we have is request support. And this is a feature that you can use or students can use as well. So if you are trying to find a student in LEAP and you are unable to, you can go up to the top and click request support and fill out what we call a support ticket. The category will be licensing. I need assistance with, we'll have you choose other. License type, whichever profession you would be using. Subject is, this is a free text. I'm just going to say trouble locating a student. And then the customer name would be your name as the administrator. Your email, your phone, and then description would be the information regarding the student that you can't find or locate within LEAP. And that could just be a simple spelling error, something to that effect, and we can get that situated for you quickly. And then you just click submit ticket. Third-party document upload. This is an area where you can upload documents for your students. And what you need to have from your student is their PAR. And that stands for Preliminary Application Reference Number. And it starts with a PAR with a dash, and you have to use the leading zeros. Click search. It will give you an individual that you're looking for who has the PAR. You can click select, and this will tell you, or this will allow you to upload whatever documents they may need. And that is as simple as clicking the action and uploading the file. Close, and then it's important you click submit so that in our system will let a credentialer know that you have uploaded documents and they can continue processing the application. And then lastly, I'm going to show you the application status lookup, which has a similar feature to what we just saw. And again, we have the PAR up here. Click on search. And this is Nico Rude's test account. The PAR is here. It says what status it's in, pending applicant input, the license, and then what is needed, if anything, for the applicant. And that's some current features we have within licensee, and Deputy Moreland is going to do a walkthrough of LEAP. Jen or Deputy?
I'm here. Good morning, everyone. As Terry said, my name is Donna Moreland. I am the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Safety and Professional Services, and I'll be taking you through the LEAP login and lookup process. We will be refining this. We anticipate that this will be available to you all once you've signed up, no later than April the 1st, and you'll find that it is a very intuitive system. So you would start on the landing page of licensee.gov, and you would click on the LEAP login, and it will take you to this screen. When you first sign up, what you'll have to do is to change your password. You'll receive an email that states what your username is, which the system develops on its own, which will look like either an email address or that .dsps, as Terry mentioned. And then you'll have a password that you'll need to change upon login. You would click sign in. Oh, bear with me 1 second. My apologies. Okay, so you would click login.
And Deputy Secretary, we have lost your screen.
Oh,
We're
boy.
looking at you.
Can you see me now?
We can see the screen now. Thank you.
Okay, so you would click on sign in. you will be taken to this screen. What you can see is that you can do an applicant search based on 3 criteria. The first is graduation date. The second is the preliminary application reference that Terry mentioned. And the third is by profession. The best way to refine your search is by using the graduation date and by using the preliminary application reference. So if we want to search by graduation date, we would select a month, a year, and we're going to select registered nurses. You would here select your profession. Once we do go live, you will have the opportunity to select from 25 additional professions. That's in addition to the LPNs and the RNs. You do a search, and you see that search brought back 3 applicants. You can either select all the applicants if they all graduate the same time, or you can just select an applicant at a time. So we're going to select Lando, and we go in and we look at the program degree. That's for a registered nurse. And then the date of graduation or completion. Many times the students are confused about what their graduation date or completion date is because they see that as the date that they actually walk across the stage. The information that the school administrators provide will be our source of truth. And when you place that date in the system, it will change the date that the student placed in their application so that the two represent one another and are reflective of one another. So we're going to say May 15th. It's important that this is a school-approved school, a state-approved school of nursing. At the time, all the other professions will have various attestations that you will have to select, whether it be a state-approved school or whether they've completed a particular program. But since we're demonstrating now our nursing school, we would say yes, that this is a state-approved school of nursing at time of graduation, and we would hit submit. If you want to go back and you want to see if that information was captured in the system, you would click that. You would put in your part number. You would click search, and you will see that that changes this particular due diligence item to met. And it will also show in the due diligence, it's not showing in this demonstration, the administrator that actually provided the graduation verification. You can also search by the part number. So we'll go back into our LEAP portal, sign in. We can put in our part number here. The part number typically has to be provided to you by your students. It would probably be a good idea if you have a group of students that will be graduating in the same class that you request that they all provide you with their part numbers so that you can periodically go in and check the status of their applications, as I know that many of you are very instrumental of getting them from point A to point Z. Click search. We come up with Terry. We would do the same here. If there's more than Terry, we would click this top box. It's only Terry here. We'll click Terry, continue. Same process as the last, registered nurse, date of graduation. And yes, we are a state-approved nursing school, and hit submit. And it'll tell you here that that information was successfully transmitted in our system. Now, many of the Wisconsin state-approved nursing programs are already uploaded into our system. We do have many contacts in the system as well. But if you find that you have not had an opportunity to come into the system and therefore don't have access, at this present time, you can send an email to melinda.boyle-pryor@wisconsin.gov or laura.orlowski@wisconsin.gov with your request, and the information that you need to provide is the administrator's full name, he or she's email address, and their phone number in case we have questions. Also note that you will only be able to see the students that are associated with your school. So part of the sign-up process, your account will be directly, if you're a UW-Madison administrator, you will only be able to see the students in the program for your particular school. You won't be able to see anyone else's. And again, you'll also have the opportunity to verify the graduation verification for 25 additional professions once this goes live. And it's also important to make sure that you don't come into the system and try to verify prior to the graduation date. That would be going against the statutes. And so we ask that you do not come in with this verification until the day of graduation or any date after that. This particular portal, as the Secretary and Assistant Deputy said, this actually streamlines the process. We are able to license people much quicker with this system. So we hope that many of you will sign up for the program and assist your students along. I think that's all I have. So I will turn this back over to the Assistant Deputy.
Thank you, Deputy Moreland. So we do have some questions coming in. Some of them are technical about the platform build and some are operational. So I'll just put them out there. And Terry, Melinda, or Deputy Moreland, whoever wants to chime in, please do. So the first one was about including the PAR part of the PAR number when you do use that to look that up, and wondering whether it would be possible to auto load the PAR so that users didn't have to type it every time. So Deputy Moreland, can you speak to that?
That is an excellent request. Currently, we don't have that functionality, but we will definitely go back to our developers and see if that's possible.
And then we did have a request to put the contact information in the chat. We're working on that, and we'll get that in there soon.
Actually, Jen, it's in there.
Oh, it is. Okay, I'm scrolling down, so thank you. Then there's a question, who provides the students and dates of completion for each program? And so I'll let the group answer a little bit, but the students enter their anticipated graduation date when they apply, but LEAP allows program staff, whoever has LEAP access, to overwrite that. So if the students got the date wrong, because students may think that the day they walk across the stage is the day their degree is conferred, but it's actually conferred either the day before or 2 days later. And so your staff would know the date of conferral, so you'll be able to overwrite the student's date. Also, we know that sometimes students' plans change and their courses don't go as they expect, and they may need to push out their graduation date. If the student doesn't update that, then you as LEAP Access subscribers will be able to do that. I don't know if our team wants to add anything else to that.
No, I think you covered everything.
Yes, I agree.
So the question is, in general, do students enter themselves in this system? Seeing as not all graduates seek licensure. Yes, this system is only for individuals who are applying for a license. So there won't be any activity related to anybody who is not applying for a Wisconsin license. So maybe they aren't applying for a license at all, or they're planning to relocate and aren't seeking a license here. There will be no activity for those students. I'm not seeing other questions. Melinda or Terry, did you have anything to add based on Deputy Moreland's presentation?
I just wanted to add that I put in the chat the approved in-school nursing universities and colleges. When the student enters their university or college, it is a drop down, but it also allows free text. So it's important that they type in the entire name. So the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, or Madison, and choose the college from the drop down or university. If they just simply type in and it isn't a match, you won't find them when you do the lookup.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
and
Terry.
to add to that, if that does occur, as we've seen it occur in the past, reaching out to Laura or myself is a good idea because we can correct it so that it then appears on your list. It does take some manual work, so if the students enter it correctly at the outset, that makes it much simpler for everyone in the whole process. And I just wanted to mention, so Laura and myself, we supervise different parts of the health team. I primarily deal with physicians, our medical affiliates like occupational therapy, massage therapy, those sorts of professions, and then also behavioral health professions like the social work, professional counseling, physical therapy, chiropractor, those sorts of professions. And then Laura handles primarily nursing and then what we call internally our multi-professions, which is things like optometry, pharmacists, tattooists, a wide variety. But if you're not sure which of us to reach out to, please feel free to reach out to either or both of us. We are happy to help and we can get things over to the other if they're better able to assist. So just wanted to put that out there. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Melinda and Terry. So we have a question. It's from Kelly Richards, and Kelly, I might need you to clarify a little bit about which program or profession you're talking about. It says we were able to approve education a few weeks earlier in the past with faculty approval. Are we no longer able to do this? So I think
I can step. I'm speaking about the registered nurse profession. And in the past, the way that it was stated was like the either graduation or degree completion. So we were able to communicate with our faculty and knowing at least like a week or two prior to graduation, everyone was in good standing and will pass the class regardless of their last exam. I guess we were it had a discussion and understanding that was okay to go in and improve their education as an institution at that point. So I'm just wanted to clarify if that is still something that we can do, or if we need to actually wait until that graduation date. Or I guess I'm just kind of fuzzy on the date there, or if it's like, is it the date they actually graduate and have the graduation ceremony or the date of their last final? Just want to make sure we're doing the correct date on our end.
So it should be the date of their actual graduation or the date of conference, whatever that date is. That's the date that it should be. If you put in information that's early, if they were approved to take the NCLEX early, then we may find ourselves in a situation where we issue a license before they actually graduate. And we really shouldn't do that. Even though they are in good standing, we should wait until they've actually graduated. So I guess that's probably not the best answer. But that's the concern that we have with putting in dates that are before they actually graduate.
Can we go into the system prior to that and put the graduation date, or do you want us to do it on or after that date in the LEAP system?
It would be preferable to do it on or after that date.
Okay.
Because again, a lot of students are given the ability, and the system that we're working on currently for the nurses in particular will have a button where you can select whether a student is in good stead so that they can take the NCLEX early. So they might be able to take the NCLEX early, and if they do and pass it, then what will happen is that you will end up putting in a date that's before their actual graduation, and that's actually contrary to statute.
And we have talked about we're working on building in some blocks so that can't happen, but that isn't developed yet. Someone asked, could you please repeat when other professions will be added? And they're part of the pharmacy program that is working on getting graduates ready for this spring. So my understanding was, Deputy, you said April 1st?
Yes, between now and April 1st, we want to make sure that we get the kinks out. And part of this demonstration is to kind of get your input to see if you see anything that would be beneficial to you while we still have a little bit of time of development before we go live with this. So the rest of the professions will not go live until we're going to say now April the 1st, if we get lucky prior to that, perhaps.
Our next question is, does the applicant search portion for the professional education replace Form 1463 for dental hygiene? Don't know if we have the right people here to answer that question.
Yeah, I don't know if Laura's here. Melinda, do you know? If it's the educational verification, it will have, I know that there was an additional attestation for dentists and dental hygienists. So that will be in the system. But if it's specifically to verify the education, it will be in the system. It
Yeah,
will
and
replace,
I have
and
that
it, and
same.
it, yes, and it will replace that form.
Yep, and I have that same information. We'll still have the forms for, you know, out of state schools and things like that. But yes, that was my understanding as well.
Okay, so for out-of-state schools and schools that choose not to participate in LEAP.
Or schools that aren't Wisconsin approved.
Right, okay.
Mhm.
So is this step in LEAP an additional required step needed to be completed for each graduate in addition to uploading the forms for third-party verification? So this is, the question is a little confusing, but I think it is does LEAP replace the need to provide forms for each student verifying graduation?
LEAP does replace that.
Yes, and that's the primary purpose of LEAP, to eliminate that step for schools and programs.
And all other forms outside of the educational verification should continue to be uploaded via the third-party portal.
Can students apply later in this portal for a temp license, or do they have to do this right away? And so I'll start. Students apply the same regardless of whether their school is using LEAP or not. And so if they apply after they graduate, then the documentation will come in through the normal application process that Terry demonstrated first. That the expedited advantage of using LEAP doesn't really benefit students who apply after their graduation date. So we're getting a lot of profession-specific questions. In social work, Form 1978 is used. I would need to go in and complete third-party document upload. Does LEAP replace this form or having to complete third-party upload? And so just to be clear, the third-party upload is how any entity other than the applicant or the agency provides documentation. So it is possible that programs that use LEAP will still need to use the third-party upload for other required documentation that they may need to submit. LEAP replaces the statement of graduation. And so instead of having to upload that form for each student, you can attest to it through LEAP so that you wouldn't have to provide those forms and you wouldn't have to do it one by one. You'll see your list of students and we'll be able to approve them all as a group. So I don't know, I'm assuming social work form 1978 is that statement of graduation form, but I'm not sure. I'm not, Melinda or Terry, do either of you know?
It is.
Okay.
It is, and there's some additional attestations. As my understanding is that those will remain with some forms. So when the deputy showed the process, that was showing sort of what it looks like for our end. It's going to look slightly different for each profession. It's very, very similar, but it might look slightly different if there's an additional attestation or something from the form that we still need to collect via the system in lieu of collecting a form.
Okay, thank you. Can more than one instructor sign up and submit items in LEAP at an institution?
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely, excitedly, yes. That's one of the things that Laura and I can help with as well. If institutions have someone already set up, but with the addition of more professions, they need additional people to have access to the system. We would be the ones to reach out to add those contacts. So for those of you already in the system, if you're needing to add a contact, reach out to us and we'll be happy to help get additional contacts set up so that they can authorize. And we can start doing that anytime. Doesn't have to be after April 1st, so please feel free to reach out.
Thank you, Melinda. I think we've covered this already. For those offering early testing, can we attest to their graduation status prior to their graduation date? And Deputy Moreland will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the answer is no. We're asking you to attest once they have graduated.
Correct. That's correct, Jen.
And that is something that we're looking into, building that kind of a safeguard that would enable you to do that early, but that wouldn't trigger the system to issue a license. But because so much has been automated in the system, we don't have that safeguard in place yet. So now we need you to wait, and that's what the attestation states. So wait until graduation. Once, if and when we get that safeguard built, then there'll be more flexibility there, but we don't have that now. Can students apply for a single state and then add the multi-state within this portal after? So I'll let our team talk a little bit about the attestations, but students still, this portal does not change anything for students. This is what we're talking about is the educator access today. Students still apply and interact with licensee in the exact same way that they already do. I don't know, Melinda or Terry or Donna, do any of you want to add anything specific to the single state, multi-state with nursing?
Yeah, I'd like just to mention that there is a way for applicants, if they apply single state right out the gate and then get that license issued, they can then go into their licensee account and go to the amendment section and request to add multi-state after the fact. Because the multi-state requires a background check and fingerprinting, it can take longer. And sometimes it is beneficial for students to apply for the multi-state or the single state first and then add the multi-state later. And it's fine either way, but just wanted to mention that there is an amendment feature. So they'd need to be logged into their account once they have the license, and then they can add in multi-state.
Thanks, Melinda. Then more nursing questions. Do we upload the new form to test early within this portal as well?
I'm not sure I understand.
I think that you would use the third-party upload to if schools are giving their students permission to take the NCLEX early, how do they communicate that to the department, and is it through LEAP? That's the question.
Okay, so it will be through LEAP. It's not
Okay.
through LEAP right now once we go live. That should be functionality that you can go in. You can either verify graduation or you can approve the student to take the NCLEX early. It probably won't be the same. So you'd have to go back in after the fact to approve graduation.
Okay. And then can we repeat who we reach out to with questions about nursing licenses? That was Melinda and Laura. Melinda, I can't remember how you divided it up. Is that Laura?
Yes, that would be Laura Orlowski.
Okay, and Melinda, just so that the emails are visible in the chat so that folks don't have to scroll, can you put them in there again, just so
Yes.
they're closer to the bottom? Thank you.
I absolutely can. Thank you.
So is there a way to check if the college has submitted staff for LEAP? And will there be additional information for colleges to sign up staff for LEAP? So I'll answer the second part first, and then I'll kick it to my team for the first part. Yes, we're going to put together something in writing. We don't have it ready yet because the platform is still in the final stages of development, but we'll circulate it to everybody on this. Everyone who registered for this, and we'll make it available otherwise too, how to register for LEAP. Right now it is through primarily through Melinda and Laura. You can also use the request support or the submit a ticket function to do that. What we're working on is building a button that just says request access, but that isn't final yet, and we're not sure if that will be ready for launch. In the near future, it will be available. So we have these slightly inelegant workarounds right now, but there will be multiple ways that individuals can communicate to us that they need LEAP access. And we will have information available for the individuals looking for LEAP access and beginning to use it. And then the question for the team is there a way to check if the college has submitted staff for LEAP? So I think what that's asking is if you want to know, does anyone from your college or anyone from your program already have that? I think that would be an email to Melinda or Laura, and who could communicate that. I don't think that's information that we would necessarily distribute or necessarily post anywhere.
Yes,
Just
that's correct. We can look and see who's in the system already. So if you're not sure who you have, and if you know you've had staff changes recently and may not have updated it, feel free to reach out.
and those kinds of higher order subtleties, I guess, of how that list is managed and how those users are managed are things that we're going to work on over time. So right now it's through contacting Melinda or Laura directly, but over time we'll have more self-serve options for you so that you don't have to communicate via email, but we're not there yet. Again, we're still rolling out licensee. We have it now available for all of our professions, but we're moving some of our other department operations into the platform now. So it's still in development. So everything is still a bit of a work in progress, and we're rolling out things as quickly as we can and then refining them as we go. So we appreciate your engagement in this meeting and then ongoing, because your feedback is very helpful to us as we plan out and prioritize those refinements. When we hear from you about what's working well and what isn't, that is information that's useful as we're trying to determine what else to change and how to change it. So thank you for being our partners in this rollout and this development. We're excited to offer this service right away, but it'll get better as we go. Let's see. So there's, when will we be given our LEAP username and password? So you can contact Melinda and Laura right away and ask for credentials, and we'll begin issuing those. As the deputy mentioned, you'll have to reset your password. That's a security step that applies to anybody using licensee, but you can request that access right now in this meeting if you like, not through the chat, but if you email those email addresses, we'll get going with building out our roster. Will each academic program have a LEAP administrator? Each academic program can and is encouraged to. And if you have multiple staff within your program, you can request multiple administrator access. We just caution with that there are some, your institutions are agreeing to some levels of security around this. So just be mindful of who has access of students' information and who is attesting to their status.
Yep, and I just want to clarify as well that each user who's going to be logging into the system will have their own login and password. So the way that it's set up, when we set up a contact, you get that password reset email for the email address that you gave us. And so if multiple people are being added, they'll each have their own login and password. And then if someone changes position or moves on to somewhere else, we would just want you to let us know so we can remove the person who should no longer have access and add in any new people.
Thanks, Melinda. There's a question. In the future, will LEAP replace third-party upload with specialty licensure forms for students after graduation, local anesthetic and nitrous oxide for dental hygiene, for example? Deputy Moreland, do you know, is that something that you've discussed at all for future, and if not, is that something we can add to our list for consideration?
We had not discussed it, but I do think that that's something that we should be able to consider and
Okay.
Put in the system. So good suggestion.
Thank you. So what is LEAP an acronym for? Or the acronym, it's the Licensee Educator Access Portal. So that's how we got LEAP. The question is, students don't have to wait for graduation to initiate the licensure process, correct? Correct. Again, LEAP does not change anything for the way the students interact with licensee or with the department. They can apply for their license mean, we don't encourage them to apply the day they begin their course of study, but they can certainly apply in advance of graduation. It says they won't be able to, the question continues, they won't be able to insert their graduation date until after graduation. No, the students enter their anticipated graduation date, and the schools are the ones that are attesting to the accuracy of the date. Another question is, when does this go live? April 1st. Melinda posted again the emails in the chat. There's a question, is the dental hygiene contact different from Melinda and Laura? Melinda and Laura are our contacts, but Melinda, do you want to let us know who gets dental hygiene?
Yeah, dental hygiene would be Laura.
But again, if you send them to both, or if you send them to Melinda by mistake, that it's a close team, and they'll make sure that the credentials are issued. So we're at the end of the questions that are posed in the chat. I'm just, at the risk of opening Pandora's box, I know Jennifer has been giving us a lot of questions about dental hygiene, but I would encourage others, if you want to put in the chat other kind of post-license forms or engagements that you have for certain certifications or things that happen after the initial license is issued. We can add those to our list of consideration for future development. So Deputy Moreland, you don't need to raise your hand. What would you like to add?
I just wanted to add that not all health professions will be in the system initially because some of the attestations or verifications are a little bit more complicated than our others. So we started with the ones that are the easiest to get the verification, and we'll look at the others to see if it's possible for us to use LEAP for that, because part of the allure of LEAP is that you can select a bulk list of students and verify their graduation all at once. And if there are different verifications or lines of study for students, you still might have to go in and verify it as individual students. So we're going to look at that to see if there would be any benefit for us putting some of those other things in.
Thank you. And then there's a question, do students still need to submit Form 259 to the school?
No.
All right. Donna, can you go back to the LEAP page and demo? It says demo a student. So I think just kind of walk through it again for folks that entered late.
Okay, bear with me.
Yep, and while you're doing that, there's a specific question. Will speech language pathology, audiology, and dietitians be in the new system? And I don't have
Audiology, yes.
Dietitians, yes.
Yes.
That one I know because that one's on my team.
But speech language pathology, do we know?
I do not believe so. No, it will not.
Okay. What about substance use disorder counseling? Are those our substance abuse counselor licenses?
Not at this time, they won't be, because that is one of the professions where there are a lot of other components to the verification and attestation. So we'll be looking at that.
Okay, and I see some hands raised. Deputy Moreland, if you can take yours down. We're collecting all the questions in the chat. So if you have a question, please type it into the chat. Another question is for nursing license applicants. Is there an automated process that allows for the applicant to automatically be made eligible to test once the graduation date has been reached?
Yes, that happens now. The system looks at the graduation date that the student put in the system, as well as the graduation date that the administrator confirms, and whichever comes last will trigger an automation where they are sent to Pearson VUE and made eligible to take the test. So there is already an automation for the nurses.
Okay, and then right before, there's a question, how will we know when applicants are in LEAP for us to approve? Will you receive a notification? I don't believe there'll be notifications, so that's where you will go in and at the very beginning, where Deputy Moreland showed how to find your students, that's how you will see what's there. But I'll let the deputy elaborate there.
Yes, there is not a special notification that's sent out. If a student hasn't reached out to you for particular information, it would just be you going into the system upon graduation or upon granting them permission to take the NCLEX early.
Okay, so why don't you demonstrate what you're going to demonstrate, and then we'll go back to the questions.
Oh, okay. So what was the question? What was asked of me to demonstrate?
Just to re-demonstrate the student. So I think just kind of walk through the demonstration quickly again, and maybe I'll keep going through the questions and ask that person to add a little more detail so we know exactly what they're looking for. There's also a request to repeat the examination question. I think that means the automation related to the statement of graduation, or automation related to permission to test for the NCLEX. So whatever graduation date is later, what the student put in or the school put in, once that date is reached, then the system automatically notifies Pearson VUE and that permission to test is issued.
So here is the search screen, and we only have these two options, which are the best options: search by graduation date or search by the PAR number. Search by profession, right now we're still working on that and deciding whether that is of value or not, because most administrators that come in have students that are from a specific profession and not all professions. So we're still working on this, and this may go away, so don't be surprised if that's gone. We don't have a search criteria for name. And part of that is because, you might have 10 Lori Smiths. And if you don't have additional information, you might not know which one to select. So these are really the best search criteria for a student. Hopefully that answers the question.
Another question. This is the first year we were asked by the state to allow students to test early if they meet certain requirements. At this time, we are to upload the form, but when will we be able to click a box for attestation of this? Is that coming before the semester ends?
That's April 1st.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what do we do if schools say they have to wait a week or two after graduation for their registrar to verify completion of degree requirements? So do they need to wait until their registrar does that, or can they, upon that graduation date, attest that the students have completed the program?
They can attest upon graduation. I guess that's kind of an individual call. I don't know what the process is between the actual graduation date and the date that the registrar confirms. I don't know which of the two responsibilities are out there, but if you know that the student is going to graduate on a specific date, they're going to be conferred on a certain date, it's okay to go in and verify graduation. I don't know if any schools have experienced the registrar not conferring. So that would be kind of an individual thing, but I wouldn't think that happens too often, that the decision is overturned for graduation.
Yeah, and I think that this kind of gets at the safeguard question we were talking about earlier, that if a school knows in April that their students are going to graduate, can they attest in April? And our answer to that was no.
Right.
But I think once the program is complete, if the degrees are conferred 4 days later, if the program is complete, I think where they're going to have to exercise their judgment.
Exactly.
And while we work on building those safeguards in that won't allow students to receive a license before they graduate. That's the worry, that if you approve everything in April, the system thinks that the student is ready to get a license. And I don't think that any of the schools would want that either. But we have to build that logic into the system, and it doesn't exist right now. So for the automation for permission to test, there's a question whether that will happen for other professions and not just nursing. And that I don't know how. I know we have done a lot more automating with nursing because nursing has been kind of our beta profession to test out all of our functionality, and then we roll it out more broadly like we did with this platform. So I don't know, Deputy Moreland, are we automating permission to test for other professions as well?
I think we need to look at which professions this refers to, and if administrators typically approve that. Melinda might be able to answer that a little bit better than I.
I think this question is about social work.
Social work is an excellent question, and I can answer that. We already, we don't have an automation to approve for social work at this time. However, the way the system is set up, we can authorize them for the exam prior to graduation. So we can already do that if they apply early. Once we have an application for them, we can authorize them to take the test right away. We don't have to wait on their graduation date to authorize them. And so we're already doing that. And you can just let your applicants know that if they're wanting to start scheduling for the exam and take the exam, that once they complete an application and submit the application, then we can get them authorized for the exam.
Okay, so we have about 8.5 minutes left. Another question, what do you need from a program to authorize a person to test right away? Again, this is about social work.
All we need is for them to complete an application and licensee. They don't need to have any of the other requirements met. We authorize for a year for the social work exams. So we're happy to authorize early if they're trying to, take it around the time that they're graduating as well. So just if they complete an application and licensee, they make the payment. Those are the only steps that we need in order to be able to authorize them for the social work exams.
And I just wanted to make a comment because I'm always impressed when I hear our credentialing staff talk about credentials and the level of detail they know about all of the different credentials that we issue. Just to note for this group, I hope that part of this demonstration conveys how challenging it is to build a single application platform for 240 plus different license types that all have to engage with it. And also then a single educator tool that applies across such a broad range of programs and is functional for each and is intuitive for each. And we've been working very, very hard to make this generalized platform as tailored as possible for each of the professions. And over time, it will become even more so and more intuitive and more natural for each of the professions. But as we have been building it and rolling it out, the goal is to standardize as much as possible, and we learn what doesn't work, what needs to be tailored, in part through trial and error. So thank you all for engaging with us during this transition. From what I hear, things generally have gotten much, much better over the course of using licensee, and efforts like this and engagements like this will enable us to continue adding improvements and refining the process and making it better for applicants and educators and anyone else who has to engage with us on the credentialing process. So thank you for being along, by our side for the ride. It's been a fun one, and I'm very pleased that we have gotten as far as we've gotten and that we're offering as much functionality as we are, and I really credit our wonderful credentialing team and their expertise for helping us get here. I'm always amazed with the level of detail that they know. Let's see. I think we're getting thank yous. I was fishing a little bit, so thank you for sharing that. If we're wrapping up with questions, I just did want to reiterate what we said at the top. We are recording this, and so we'll make it available if you want to rewatch it. We're also going to be creating some written tools that will get out into the hands of everyone who registered for this, and then to share beyond that, to remind you and have a resource that you can refer to with how to get started in LEAP and how to use basic functionality. We understand that as you use it, you're going to give us more feedback on things that work well and things that don't, and things that could be changed in the future. And we welcome that. For that kind of feedback, certainly Melinda and Laura are helpful and your first place to go. But if it's something that they can't help with, I can be a resource as well. So I will put my contact information in the chat. I am not a subject matter expert the way they are, but if you're looking to provide generalized feedback about what could be in the future, or how needs could be met better in the future, please reach out to me. And then I see we've had some recommendations for focus group participants. And thank you for mentioning that. And that is something that we talk about from time to time. We haven't had the capacity to manage a group like that and to really fully take advantage of it. And we didn't want to get people to pull people together and to give them tasks and then not optimize that time that they were sharing with us. So I appreciate the offer, and it's definitely something that we continue to consider from time to time, and it may be something that we implement as we move forward. So we'll keep record of that, and thank you for the offer. We appreciate it. All right. Well, it seems like we've wrapped up our questions, so I'm going to let everybody go today. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your engagement and input, and look forward to working with you with LEAP.